I want to tell you about a client we almost didn't get, and not because anything they did or that we did, but because one of their previous agencies decided to sabotage them on the way out the door. 2 nights we were supposed to onboard them for SEO and local service ads. Their website went down due to hosting. Not a glitch, completely down. I'm pretty sure, and I'll let you read between the lines, that it was one of the agencies that they had been working with before. They called their first agency, no answer. They called their second agency, nothing. So they called me at the end of the day after 24 hours without a working website. Freaking out. What happens next is a story about what it actually means to show up for a client even before somebody is paying you. But more importantly, it's a story about what we found when we actually got on the onboarding call and why every contractor watching this should know their cost per qualified lead before they spend another dollar in paid ads. Let me set the scene. It's the end of the day. The client has been without their website for almost 24 hours. They've already reached out to 2 previous agencies, the ones who were supposed to still be doing work for them, like they were still actively getting paid, and neither one picked up. Think about that. Agencies that they were paying had previously paid, and nobody had any of the answers when there was an actual emergency. I want to be honest with you. My first instinct was to pin it back on the previous provider. It's what a lot of agencies do. It's the easy move. But instead, I spent the next several hours recovering their old website files, getting access to their domain, and migrating everything over to our hosting on SiteGround. I'll also be honest that because it was the end of the day, I wasn't going to go tap into my team and have them work extra hours on this. So I ended up doing it, and it took me way longer than it probably should have because I forgot how to do a few things along the way. And domain management is always a pain, and they were using a little bit of an outdated domain management system. So it probably took me about 5 hours, which is also not my finest technical moment. But here's ultimately what it did. They were skeptical about switching to yet another marketing agency. They had been burned before, and I get it. Everyone has been burned before. Most contractors have. But when you show up and do all of those hours after work to rescue someone's website, the guard goes down a little bit, right? They stop being skeptical. They start trusting. Poor communication is one of the number one reasons why clients leave marketing agencies. Yes, it's important. If they're not getting the results, people will leave for that. If the pricing is bad and there's disagreements in strategy. But when 2 agencies previously had failed, right, to respond to an emergency, I think it started to confirm exactly why this client needed to come and work directly with us. So we get on that onboarding call on Wednesday. And this is really where the real story starts. They mentioned that they had previously been spending around $10,000 a month on Facebook ads, plus a $2,100 management fee on top of that. So over 12 grand a month in total. And here's what got me. When I asked if it was working, because those numbers were like mind blowing to me for what they do and where they're located, specifically just on Facebook. They said, and this is almost a direct quote, "This is awesome and working great," but they had no real data to back it up. None at the time, no cost per lead, no cost per qualified lead, no revenue attribution, just like a feeling. So being an expert in this that I am, I challenged them on that. I said, that's way too much to ad spend specifically. If you don't know the ROI, you're not running a marketing campaign. You're throwing money into the dark and hoping something comes back out. Contractors spending $10,000 per month on marketing with no clear ROI tracking is not unusual. It's an industry-wide problem, and agencies have been known to provide those vanity metrics, social media followers, impressions, clicks, things that don't connect to actual business outcomes. If your agency can't tell you your cost per booked job, it's a massive red flag. So then something interesting happened after that. After I pushed back, 2 other team members both spoke up. They said communication with that agency was terrible. Nobody was responding. Reports were vague. They felt like they were on their own. And so the owner and the team started diving into the data itself because nobody at the agency was doing. And what they ended up finding was pretty alarming. They were paying almost $1,000 per qualified lead. Crazy. Meaning that number doesn't even account for the ones that didn't convert. That doesn't even account into their management fee. It doesn't even account to them actually getting an appointment. This is just the fact that it was an actual human being. So again, $1,000, like 10 leads a month that were real. So think about that math for what it looks like for a roofing, HVAC, or remodeling company. If your close rate is 30%, you're spending over $3,000 to acquire a single customer. So we got off that call and immediately came back with a proposal to add on some of the additional services. We offered to take over both Facebook and PPC, their full paid ad strategy, basically for what they were already paying just for one platform. But here's the key, is that we'd run it at about half of their ad spend right now because there's no proven model. We don't want to jump in and go start spending $10,000 a month in Facebook ads. So we came up with a leaner, more targeted budget on both platforms that we could actually track and optimize from a real baseline. So you might be wondering, like, why half the budget? Because when you don't know what's working, throwing more money at the problem makes it worse. You need a clean starting point with a solid baseline. You need to be able to look at your data and say, this campaign is generating X per qualified lead. This one isn't working. And here's where we move the money. That's how you build a system that scales. That's what we call outcomes over outputs. So here's what I need you to take from this, because I promise you this story is not unique. This is happening to contractors all over the country right now. They're paying agencies, they're spending money on ads, and they have no idea what any of it is actually producing for their business. So let me give you 3 questions. Ask these questions to yourself right now, and if you can't answer them, you need to fix that before dumping more money into all of the digital space. Not impressions, not clicks, not leads in general. How many qualified leads, people who actually picked up the phone and could become a job? If your agency can't give you that number on the spot, something is wrong. Many contractors still lack visibility into which marketing channels actually produce paying customers. Agencies operating without a clear ROI tracking force business owners to make decisions based on feelings rather than data, which is exactly why a contractor ends up spending $1,000 per qualified lead without realizing it. Now taking into account like your website, your domain, your Google ads, your meta ads, etc., your analytics, your call tracking numbers, you need to make sure that you own these things. These are not things your agency should own. Those are yours. The moment something goes wrong in the relationship, you need to be able to walk away with everything intact. Question 3 is, when something goes wrong, does your agency actually pick up the phone? This one is pretty simple, and this is a kind of a clear case study and test right here. It's not just do they pick up the phone, but do they actually work to solve the issue for you? When this client had a crisis, 2 agencies were silent. That's the answer that you obviously don't need. I'm not telling you this to pitch our company at Builders of Authority. Obviously, we would love the opportunity to work with you. We go above and beyond, not just from a results and ROI driven standpoint, but from the client experience standpoint. I'm telling you this because every contractor deserves to have a partner who shows up, who challenges you when the data doesn't look right, who has the confidence to tell you that your $10,000 a month ad budget might be doing you more harm than good, and that shows you the numbers to prove it. If you're a contractor and you don't know your qualified cost per lead right now, that's where we start. At Builders of Authority, we work exclusively with home service businesses, everything from roofing, HVAC, plumbing, landscaping, tree services, etc. And the first thing we do is audit what your current marketing is actually producing versus what you're paying for it. There's a link to book a free discovery call in the description. No pitch, just a conversation and audit data, etc. If this hits close to home, share it with another contractor who you know who needs to hear it. Make sure to subscribe to the channel for this kind of content each and every single week. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.